Hi guys, in this video we're just going to go over my workflow very briefly, discussing on how I bring a photo into Lightroom and then move that photo from Lightroom to Photoshop, which is of course the first step towards retouching a photo is, for me, preparing the photo to be retouched in Lightroom. So I'm going to start off in Lightroom, which I already have open, and I have a assortment of photos that I want to go through right down here. So I want them all to match the same adjustments as far as saturation, color, and whatever other details I want to add to the photo before I start retouching on it. So what I usually do is, of course, import the photo, which is here. I'm not going to go through that because it's fairly simple. You just hit the import button. And once it's in, they all line up at the bottom, as you can see. You already in development, but the first start of it would be in the library. So I have a picture of the lovely Melinda, one of my favorite models in New York right now. What I want to do is adjust this first photo and then have all the other settings to the other photos synchronized. So I'm going to go to the development area right here, and I first adjust exposure. I want a nice, well adjusted, histogram. This could be a little bit well adjusted, but it works for the shot. I have a warning right here, which is letting me know if I print this, the blacks are going to run into each other. So I'm going to adjust that a little bit. And what I mean by that is, if a photo is too dark, you won't get any tonal contrast or tonal value in it. So we're going to adjust that down. There we go. I add a bit of vibrance to it to bring the color up. I usually don't go past about 15 to 16 in portrait. I add about 2 or 3 points of saturation and 2 or 3 points of clarity to the shot. I'll also enable the lens profile, which will help eliminate some of the distortion that you can sometimes get from photos. When you take a photo, sometimes you get a little bit of round edges or flattening or bubbling in it, so it's a slight difference in it, as you can see. And this will tell you the make of your camera, model, and the lens profile. So moving on, once all of that is where I wanted it, I want these changes I just made with the adjustment sliders, as you can see before and after here. I want these same changes to be reflected in the rest of the photos before I choose the one that I want to work on. So I want to select them all, and by doing that, you hold down Control or Command and then press the A button, and that selects all your photos. And you can go to this button right here, which is the Sync button. If you click it, it'll let you know all the details you can synchronize. If you only want to synchronize one detail, you can choose that detail individually, such as lens correction or white balance or color. But I want them all synchronized at the same time. So I'll hit check all and synchronize. And as you can see, that all those adjustments I just made are reflected in every single photo in the timeline. Well, not timeline, but on the bottom of the photo collection. But the photo I actually want to work on is photo number 150, which is here. So once I'm in photo 150, I like to do my cropping inside of Lightroom before I take it to Photoshop. So I'll crop in here. I'm going to take away too much of that lovely crown of hair she's wearing. And I press enter. And there we go. Now, you can retouch a photo in Lightroom. There are 1,000 different ways to approach a retouch. I prefer to do my color, exposure, and white balance adjustments in Lightroom and then move on into Photoshop. But to each his own. So once I'm satisfied with this, I can simply export this photo over to Photoshop. And you do it by right-clicking and go to Edit in Photoshop. Give it a few seconds to open up. And here we are. It's populated in Photoshop and it's ready to be worked on. The next step I usually do is prep for me, which is adding a little bit of brightness and sharpness to the image, which is right here. This action will be available for download in the link below. And what it does, it adds an unsharp mask in the amount of 95%, at a radius of 1.5, at a threshold of 1, and then it adds brightness to number 6. And I don't add any contrast to it, and it's without legacy. So once you have this action installed, you simply press play, and it only adds a slight amount of brightness to the image, as you can see from here. But it does add a little bit more sharpness to it. And you can always go heavier with sharpness. To each his own, it's your photo. There is no right or wrong answer with that. It's your discretion because it's your artwork. So I would then create another layer or copy the same layer by hitting Command and J. And then using the spot healing brush tool, I will begin to remove small blemishes off the face. And again, this is not for large areas, this is just for small blemishes, because in the rest of the tutorial, I'll show you how to remove troublesome areas all at once. This is merely for small areas in the face that are distracting you, that can simply be wiped out without causing any texture damage to the photo itself. And again, I recommend using a pen tablet because it gives you much more control over the amount of pressure you want in any tool in Photoshop. Okay, scroll back here and have a look. And then for any area or distraction that you see inside the photo. Melinda has beautiful skin, so this is not going to take long. And you can be as anal as you want to. You can remove laugh lines and all that kind of stuff, but I'm going to let a lot of that go for now. So that is it for now. What we've done is we've moved the photo from Lightroom into Photoshop, and we've made minor adjustments. We combine our layers by hitting Command E, and that combines visible layers. And now we're ready for the next step, which I will go on to in the next video. Thanks a lot.